What is up, duelists, and welcome to the first of probably many TCG update videos from my World's Grind. The first weekend just finished. I just got back home from 2 regionals back to back, and I want to talk about the deck lists that I used as well as my experience with the format because I'm still relatively new to Justice Hunters format. And at the end, we're also going to talk a little bit about the new time rules because those were in effect for the first time for this weekend. Before we hop into the lists and what I learned about the decks, though, I do want to say thank you to everybody for the kind words under my last update video. Everyone had a lot of nice things to say, and I really appreciate that. Thank you all for that. Without further ado, I played K9 Vanquish Soul at those 2 regionals, but I did adjust the list quite heavily between Saturday and Sunday, so I'll talk about the 2 lists that I used, the reasons on why I changed stuff up, and just in general how these 2 lists felt. So for Saturday, I played a regional with around, I think, 200 players, and it had 8 rounds. And I played a relatively standard K9 Vanquish Soul deck list because I just wanted to get a feel for the deck, get a feel for the format, and get a feel for what is supposedly the best deck in the game right now. So I 3 Raisin, 3 Madlove, and 3 Holy Sue. That is not going to change between the 2 lists. I played 3 Jiaolongs on Saturday because this is the K9 version of the deck, so you do want to maximize on the level 5s, and therefore there's only 1 Heavy Borger and 1 Caesar. These don't really get you going, and so I didn't want to play more than 1 of each. And then there is a K9 package, of course, Izuna and Lupus, as well as triple Jockle, 1 Lantern. For non-engine, we have 3 Fuva, 3 Ash Blossom. I decided to play 2 Phantasmes. This is, I believe, the only difference in this main deck to the list that won the World Championships, because I played an additional Phantasme over 1 copy of Case, which leaves us with 3 Stake Your Soul, 1 Vanquish Soul Start, 1 Rhoda, 1 Prosperity, 2 copies of Case. I did want to try the heavier K9 approach, but like I said, I did want an extra non-engine compared to the 3rd Case because I also wanted to make sure I draw enough attributes and monsters in general, and so I played 2 and 2 instead of 3 and 1. The K9 Forced Release, as well as the Vanquish Soul Trap card. So that was my main deck for the Saturday regional. I ended up going 5 and 3 with it. My losses being a K9 Crystron, where I went second and I got Paradise Smasher in game 1 and then Rivalry in game 3. And then I did have a couple of issues with bricking sometimes here and there. I had a couple of losses where I just wouldn't see any Vanquish Soul starters, and that is the first thing that I noticed about the big K9 package, is that they do increase your ceiling by a lot. And if you open, let's say, Jockle plus a level 5 and then also access to your Vanquish Soul engine, that is incredible. But the problem was, like, the K9 cards don't really replace a good Vanquish Soul opener. Like, if I drew just K9 cards but no Vanquish Soul starter, I was struggling to win those games off of the back of just the K9 cards. And that was an issue, which is something I tried to patch a little bit on the Sunday, but I'll get into that a little bit later. So first, the extra deck for Saturday, double Rock, 1 SP, 2 Rippers, because I always want to make 1 on turn 1, of course, to set up for the rank up spell, and then sometimes you might want a second one on the follow-up turn to be able to play into Nibiru. The Werewolf for the rank up. I decided to play a double Nash Knight package, which I was a huge fan of because I really like making one of these turn 1, either going first or going second, and then being able to make another one later. So you play 1 C Nash Knight, Silent Honor Dark, the Masquerade package, just so you have a double, you have enough numbers to rank up with the Nash Knight twice, or to suck with the Nash Knight twice. 1 Rocks, Typhon, and Zeus. The only thing I feel like if you play the heavy K9 package that you can really change is I really wanted to play a Saryuja, just for that scenario I mentioned earlier where I draw the K9 cards but no Vanquish Soul cards. Maybe I can piece together a Saryuja to try and draw into them. That is a lot harder before Doom of Dimensions, because with Doom of Dimensions and the new K9 main deck monster, it becomes a lot easier to make Saryuja with the K9 cards. As of now, it is possible, but it takes a lot of investment to make that Saryuja with the K9 cards. But still, I kind of wish I played that one maybe over the second Ripper, or over the maybe play a smaller Nash Knight package and try to fit the Saryuja for this one. I'll quickly show you the side deck for Sunday, and then I'll talk about how the deck felt in general. So side deck was 3 Nibirus, mainly for Yummy and some other rogue decks maybe. This was really good against Yami. 3 Drolan Lockbirds because I was still somewhat respecting decks like Mitsurugi Ryzeal. I feel like that deck is still pretty strong. As well as, you can side it against Sky Striker. You can side. I do think this card is good against the mirror match, like the heavy K9 Vanquish Soul decks. I think are really hard to stop with any other hand traps. So I want to draw for that matchup. 3 Perulias. Similarly, also good against like all kinds of Ryzeal variations. I would still side deck against Malice, and I think you can also take it into some other matchups. I played 3 Bells for Draco Tail as well as Yummy. However, I will say the Bells I did take out of the side deck for Sunday because I wasn't really quite convinced by them against the Yummy matchup. I didn't play against any Draco Tail at both regionals, so across 17 rounds I had 0 Draco Tails. But just against Yummy, this card just didn't really feel that good for me. It's not like terrible, but it also didn't feel impactful enough. The third Phantasme, the third copy of Case as a card for going first, because whenever I go first, I do have to side out the 3 Fuvas. So I wanted to have some other engine card I can side in, and the third Case felt pretty good for me because it just helps you play through hand traps like crazy, similar to Talents. So that was the side deck for Saturday. As you can see, a relatively standard K9 Vanquish Soul list. I mean, there's literally, it's 1 card different from the list that won the World Championship. So I don't want to talk about the card choices too much. I want to talk about how this deck felt on Saturday. And I will say, going first, it felt pretty strong as long as I drew access to my Vanquish Soul engine. That was my main problem with the deck, is like, well, if I go first and I don't see Raisin, Madlove, or Stake Your Soul, or have Holy Sue with the right attributes, I feel like my turn 1s were really lackluster because I have to piece together something with the K9 cards. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I really missed the extravagance in this deck. I feel like extravagance is not playable in this version of the deck, of course, because you need the extra deck way more than before, and it simply cannot be played in the heavy K9 version of the deck. Going second, the thing was, like, I felt like the K9 cards, I mean, Izuna is obviously a solid hand trap against everything that isn't Yummy. Unfortunately, on the Saturday, I played against 5 Yummies in 8 rounds. I beat 4 of the Yummy decks, but I felt like the Izuna was a fine hand trap, but like the Joko and the Lantern didn't really help me that much in my games going second. I won maybe 1 game going second over the entire weekend by just the raw power of like good engine on my turn, by like Jokol into Lantern and stuff like that. They are good. If you get to play the game going second, these cards are strong. However, I feel like it's way too dependent on opening Holy Sue or Fuva to even be able to play the game in the first place. Because if you don't have those cards and your opponent does go full combo with like another K9 deck, for example, or Yummy, then I feel like the Jokol doesn't really cut it, because what ends up happening against Yummy is you summon the Jokol and another level 5 and they just go into the synchro that books both, and then you've invested 2 cards and they counter it with 1 synchro, because nothing in your deck really triggers on summon, right? It's like you Jokol summon Jiaolong, and unless you have 2 fires in hand already, that's just like gonna get double, like immediately double booked, and you lost 2 cards to push with, which I thought was tough. So I felt like the K9 cards, while increasing the ceiling of the deck, didn't really fix any of the problems I had. You know, they didn't make the deck more consistent. They didn't really make the deck more like capable of winning going second a lot of the time. And honestly, I felt like even with the old version of Vanquish Soul, quote unquote, I was winning going first just fine. You know, like as long as I can set up my Vanquish Souls going first, I think I should be fine. So here's the adjustments I made for Sunday, where I played the Frankfurt Regional in with over almost 400 players. So that one was pretty important. Also, sadly, Saturday I walked away with no points. 5 and 3 was not good enough to get any points, so that was quite unfortunate. But I still felt good about it. I had fun, and I learned a decent amount about the format this weekend, so that's all right. So for Sunday, I decided to try a smaller K9 package. And try to add some more consistency pieces and some better cards for going second in general. So the cards I took out were a Jiaolong, because I wanted less level 5s with less Jokels, and I took out all the other K9 cards over here. The only K9s I left in the deck were the Izuna and the Lupus as basically a hand trap, and I played 1 Jokel just so I can use the Ripper to search a dark monster in case I need a dark to reveal for something, which I felt like was a reasonable thing to do. And the cards I replaced them with were the third Phantasme from the side deck went into the main, As well as I decided to play the Rescue Aces. This was something I really wanted to play on Saturday already, but I couldn't quite fit it alongside the big K9 cards. But I played these because they give you more attributes. They give you more important attributes too, because fire is something that you really can't... it's hard to find good fire monsters for this deck. And just in general, fixing... Like I said earlier, going second, you're very dependent on Holy Sue, so I felt like playing more cards to maximize your odds of seeing Holy Sue with the right attributes was really good. So these went into the main deck on Sunday. As well as, instead of the third Jiaolong, I decided to play a second copy of Heavy Borger because I lost a lot of dark monsters and I replaced them with a lot of fire monsters, so I wanted that one extra dark. Also, I noticed that these were pretty good against, obviously against Imperm and Veiler, which a lot of the Yummy decks played, but just in general, being able to tag out against Yummy to put more big bodies onto the field when they try to like book or pop your Vanquish Soul monsters was really relevant for me. So basically, with this, going second against Yummy, what you try to do is you just try to summon a lot of big monsters that generate card advantage and make it way harder for your Yummy opponent to actually get rid of your board, and you can just run over their Yummy monsters. And then the last card I played was a Small World for Sunday. I wanted an additional consistency card, like one additional starter, because one of my biggest issues was not opening Vanquish Souls. I decided not to go for the extravagance on Sunday because I still wanted to play the big Nash Knight package in the extra deck because I really liked that on Saturday, and so I didn't quite find a way to structure my extra deck in a way to play Pot of Extravagance. I will talk in a second about what I would change even after Sunday, but the cards I took out, obviously, the second Ripper and the Werewolf are the ones that I took out because we played the smaller K9 package now, and I replaced it with a third copy of the Rock and a Valon, just to have more diversity with the level 5, rank 5 targets for Izuna, and the third Rock just in case any of the games go longer, because with less K9 cards, in theory, you have a little less firepower, your ceiling is a little bit lower, and there's a possibility some of your games go longer, and I did make the third Rock a couple of times on Sunday. Now, this was the list I played on Sunday, and I am, unfortunately, I have to report that even with the additional Small World, I had some problems with consistency for the deck, because I just missed the extravagance, man. Like, I think this deck might have to play extravagance moving forward, because once again, 400 players on Sunday, we had 9 rounds of Swiss. I started 4-0, and then I lost 3 rounds in a row, which was really unfortunate. Round 5, I played a K9 Vanquish Soul Mirror. I won the first game, even going second, with some great help from the Rescue Ace and Phantasme. But then game 3, I go first and I break. And the only thing I have is like, I have a Jokul and like an Izuna, so I can make a rank 5, but it's not enough to win going first in the mirror match. So once again, lost the match because I didn't draw a Vanquish Soul card in game 3. The next round, I play against K9 Crystron again. Game 1, I lose going first because I don't draw any Vanquish Souls, and then game 3 I go second and I get Paradise Smashered, which was rough. Paradise Smasher, by the way, a huge problem for me in these tournaments. I got Paradise Smasher, it's crazy how hard it is. It's because it's this deck in particular, like K9 and K9 Crystron, super hard to hand trap because of the K9 cards, but then also can't really not hand trap them because they'll just Paradise Smash you. I feel like Paradise Smasher is a card that really like throws off the entire balance of the format, but that's a different topic. Anyways, lost round 6 to Crystron, and then round 7, once again, I play against Yummy. I go first in game 1. This time I didn't brick. I did have, I believe it was Rhoda or Prosperity. I Prosperity, I get purged, and I don't have a play. And then in game 3, I go second, and they have full Yummy combo plus Solemn Judgment plus Solemn Strike. I did end up winning round 8 and round 9, so I finished the regional 6-3. But still, I feel like the consistency. I feel like every time I get my Vanquish Soul set up, I'm winning. It doesn't matter if I have all the K9 cards on top of it. Like, as long as I can get to these cards over here, I'm fine. And that really had me thinking. And like, then, I don't know, I really want extravagance back in this deck. So, or you play more Small Worlds, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I drew Small World a couple of times. Unfortunately, I only drew Small Worlds in the hands where I was already playing, and then the card felt kind of mediocre because I was just forced to like exchange. Sometimes I would use it to like fix an attribute here and there, but for the most part, unfortunately, it didn't really help me. But it could have really helped in those hands where I didn't have a Vanquish Soul. So maybe it's more small worlds, or maybe it's just find a way to fit the extravagance. And after Sunday, honestly, if I were to play Vanquish Soul at a tournament again, I would try to play an extravagance version, and honestly, I would cut the K9s altogether. Izuna as a hand trap was fine, but I drew it going first a lot and it didn't do anything. The Earth attribute barely matters for this deck, like honestly, almost never. And with Yami in the format, they're not even that crazy of a hand trap, the Izunas. They're fine. They're like fine in the mirror match, but that's about it. And I was thinking about cutting them just so you can play extravagance and focus on the extra deck, like the basically from previously. But yeah, that's it, basically. I thought the deck was really strong. However, I think I could have built it better for the 2 days. I'm still learning this new format. I think I would prioritize consistency moving forward, especially when it's regionals, where really all you want to do is go X2 or better to guarantee some points. You don't have to go undefeated. You don't have to, like, win every single round. Like, it's okay if you lose some rounds, maybe because your ceiling isn't high enough, but I wanted to have a chance to at least play in all of those games, and that's the problem, right? Between me bricking and between me getting Paradise Smashed or Rivalry, there was just a couple of games where I just couldn't really play. But every game I did play with this deck, I felt really good. So I'm trying to find a way to fix that. I'm looking at the K9s and the small world to maybe become X-Stravs again. And then I have some other non-engine spaces. I mean, you could play X-Strav even with the K9s. Like, you could cut a Jockle, a Small World, and a Prosperity for 3 X-Stravs, and then just adjust the extra deck accordingly. Like, probably cut the Nash Knight package, because that doesn't really work out with X-Strav, but then you play, like, multiple Valons and stuff as your option for Izuna. I could see that. But I think consistency was my one big problem with this deck over the course of the weekend. As far as the side deck goes, I was really happy with the Nibirus. I decided to keep playing the Drolls and the Perulias on Sunday. I was really unhappy with the Bells, also partially because I played against no Dracotail, but I honestly think Dracotail is already a decent matchup for this deck. And I decided to replace it with a card that I felt like was better against Yami, or at least I wanted to try it, and that was Pankratops. So my strategy against Yami on Sunday was basically, when you go second, just try to put as many big bodies onto the field as possible, which just annoys Yami. You know, like you nib them, and then you try to hold the Phantasme for after, or try to hold the Impulse for after. So you start your turn with like a Nibiru and Phantasme, or Rescue, or Fire Attacker, or even better, Holy Su. Like, you just have a bunch of stuff on your board already, and then you just like overwhelm them a little bit, because you can attack their stuff before they can even, like, you don't even have to activate anything, so they can't tag out their Synchros, and that was pretty awesome. And then if Pankratops joins the party, like, you just overwhelm them. And that worked out pretty well against Yami, except for that one time where I lost to them when they opened Solemn Judgment and Solemn Strike next to the normal combo, basically. I was pretty happy with this. I also added a Magnamute, because obviously the case goes if you don't play the heavy K9 package. Magnamute I liked a lot against Yami, because you basically, once again, same strategy, put big bodies onto the field, and this one even goes +1 for you. I mean, all of them go +1, right? The Phantasme, the Rescue Ace, all of them replace themselves in the hand. And Magnamute, even better, you either search a Caesar to tag out any of your monsters, or you search a Phantasme, because Yami super often summons a Snatchy on your turn from the graveyard, so you will get the Phantasme on your own turn as well. And then banishing something from their graveyard can just be a slight inconvenience, but like, as long as you get a body, you get a +1, and you do, like, you're like slightly annoying, because you banish like the thing they're trying to revive off of minion. So I really liked the Magnamute, and I would also cite it in some other matchups. Like, I cited it against Mitsurugi, in case you run into any of those. You know, there's a couple of decks where Bastials are strong. I kept the talents in, and then I played one, there can be only one instead of the case for going first, as just a super easy solution to something like Yami, when you go first, obviously. So that was the 2 lists that I played. Even though I went X3 at both regionals and unfortunately got no points over the course of the weekend, it was rough, honestly. I was really expecting more. But it was a mix of, I feel like I need to still find a way to play this deck the way it fits me. The standard version didn't quite cut it for me, and this one isn't quite there yet. So still, I feel like I need to fix some consistency issues. I also really want to try Dracotail and Yami at regionals, because I'm going to play a lot of regionals this season anyways. So I don't feel too bad about it. I learned a lot of stuff, And honestly, the format, besides like Paradise Smasher existing, I had a pretty good time at those tournaments for the most part, as long as I can find a way to fix the consistency for this deck. Well, yeah, that's my input on K9 Vanquish Soul for the moment. I still feel like the Vanquish Soul cards are really well positioned in the current format. The K9 cards, so. I'm not sure. I was a little disappointed by the K9 cards. I won't lie. Like, I opened Yugioh a lot, and I never really liked it that much. But other than that, pretty good. I hope you found that a little insightful in case you're playing this deck yourself, or in case you're just following the journey. That's your update. The time rules, I will say, I was very pleasantly surprised by them. I mean, I wasn't really that pessimistic about them in the first place, if you've seen my initial reaction on the Plus channel. But the new time rules, my main takeaway is that 50 minutes is a long time, and that is a huge improvement over 45, because there's just a lot of matches where you no longer worry even about getting into time because it's just 5 more minutes. I had not a single double loss occur over the entire weekend. I had one match where it would have been a double loss, but I decided to scoop it up like a minute before time because my opponent was in a pretty good position. I could have maybe won if we had a lot more time, but honestly, in that moment, I just felt like, I didn't feel like pulling my opponent down with me because they had a bigger board at that moment than I did. It was yummy. So I decided to just give them the win. And honestly, I feel like if most people approach it this way, that's probably going to be the healthiest and the best for everybody. And other than that, people played at a proper pace. And I was actually surprised by being able to fit even 3 pretty solid back and forth games where I tried to play into the board, or my opponent tried to play into the board, didn't quite work out, tried for like maybe 10-15 minutes, and then moved on to the next game, and we were easily able to fit 3 of those into the 50 minutes. No real problems with that. So overall, I thought it was a pretty pleasant weekend with the new time rules. No one was ever incentivized to slow play, and I thought that was really cool. Everyone always scooped at proper times and so on and so forth. So I thought it was pretty good. There was only one time where I thought maybe it hurts my opponent's deck because they were playing Sky Striker, and I beat them 2-0. But if we had gone to a game 3, it may have been a problem because those games were pretty long and grindy with Sky Striker, which is also the one thing. Like, when I looked at their deck while we were playing, I was like, Sky Striker looks strong, I feel like, right now, because the boards are actually quite breakable that the decks make. But I would be a little scared to play Sky Striker maybe with the new time rules. But that's still something I'm going to look into. Maybe it's still something worth checking out, because I felt like the Sky Striker deck was looking pretty good. And it topped the World Championships even with those rules. So who knows? Anyways, that's it from the first weekend of regionals. I have more to come in the next weeks. I'm going to be trying all of the Justice Hunters decks at some point, and maybe even some other things, including some locals videos I will make as well, because I do have the equipment to record those soon. It is on the way. I have ordered it. So let me know your thoughts on the deck below. Have you tried Vanquish Soul? If so, which version have you preferred? Have you struggled with consistency at all? Because I certainly have. And yeah, I'll keep you guys updated with my regionals journey, TCG journey, as usual, of course. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.